We are exploring a question that defines the modern era. What is global governance? It is a term we hear often in news and politics, but rarely pause to truly understand. It is the invisible architecture that surrounds us. To understand this concept, we must first look at how the world organizes itself. Imagine a community with shared problems but no mayor. That is our planet. Global governance is the system the world uses to organize itself and solve shared problems, all without having a single world government. There is no president of Earth. Instead, we have a complex team. The key players include countries, international organizations like the UN, and NGOs, all working together across borders. But why is this cooperation so difficult? We have to look at the core concept of international politics: sovereignty. Sovereignty is a powerful idea. It means a state has the absolute right to govern itself without outside interference from other nations. It is essentially a national keep-out sign. Because of this, international law remains mostly voluntary. Why? Because each country maintains ultimate authority over its own territory. No one can simply order a sovereign nation to obey. If nations are supreme, where do the rules come from? There are specific sources of international law. The first are treaties. These are written agreements between countries that function just like binding contracts under international law. But not all law is written. We also have customary law. This consists of unwritten rules followed for so long by nations that they have effectively become accepted legal standards globally. The central pillar of this system is the United Nations. It was born out of tragedy, founded in 1945 after World War II to prevent another global catastrophe. Today, it has 193 member states. They are working together to maintain international peace. The headquarters in New York City is fascinating. It serves as international territory. Standing there, you are on neutral ground where global diplomacy and cooperation can flourish. Inside the UN, there is the General Assembly. Think of this as the world's town hall. Here, every country gets one equal vote, regardless of size or wealth. However, it has limits. Recommendations made here are non-binding. This means countries cannot be forced to act on assembly decisions. It represents the voice of the world, but not the police force of the world. Power is concentrated in the UN Security Council. This body consists of just 15 members. Crucially, it includes 5 permanent powers who hold veto authority over all Security Council resolutions. This group, known as the P5, consists of the United States, United Kingdom, France, Russia, and China. If just one of these nations says no, the resolution fails. Behind the scenes, the work is done through diplomacy and ambassadors. Diplomacy represents the art of international negotiation. It is the primary tool for peaceful conflict resolution between nations. To keep these channels open, we rely on diplomatic immunity. This protects ambassadors from arrest by host countries, ensuring safe international communication even during tense times. Even when diplomacy fails and conflict erupts, there are still rules. These are the rules of war, known as the Geneva Conventions. These conventions limit warfare barbarity by explicitly protecting civilians, medical personnel, and prisoners of war. Violating these rules constitutes a war crime. Acts such as torture, targeting hospitals, and chemical weapons use are all strictly prohibited under international law. Beyond war, we have standards for peace. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights was created in 1948 in the shadow of the Holocaust. It contains 30 articles protecting fundamental human dignity worldwide. While, like the General Assembly resolutions, it is not legally binding, it establishes the international standard for human rights and ethical behavior that all nations strive toward. When nations disagree, they can turn to the International Court of Justice. Known as the World Court, and located in The Hague, Netherlands. Its job is settling disputes between sovereign nations. Its jurisdiction covers state versus state conflicts. This includes arguments over border disputes, fishing rights, and territorial claims. But what about individuals who commit atrocities? That is the job of the International Criminal Court, or ICC. The ICC prosecutes individuals for genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity globally. It has a unique power. Court jurisdiction allows for the arrest of leaders when their own countries refuse to prosecute serious crimes. Global governance also manages the flow of money and goods. This is economic governance. The WTO, the World Trade Organization, works to lower trade barriers and tariffs between nations worldwide. The underlying philosophy holds that free trade prevents conflicts whilst increasing global wealth and prosperity. If we trade together, we are less likely to fight together. Supporting the global economy are two financial giants. First, the World Bank provides loans to developing countries for vital infrastructure projects like roads and schools. Second, the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, acts as an emergency lender for countries facing bankruptcy and financial crisis. They are the safety net of the global economy. Security often requires teamwork. This brings us to military alliances like NATO. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization operates on the collective defense principle, protecting member nations. Its core promise is Article 5. It declares that an attack on one member country is an attack on all alliance members. Governments cannot do it all alone. This is why we have non-governmental organizations. NGOs like Doctors Without Borders operate globally, providing humanitarian aid independent of government control. Meanwhile, organizations such as Amnesty International and Greenpeace monitor rights and pressure governments for change. They are the watchdogs of our world. One challenge respects no borders: the environment. This led to international environmental law. Environmental pollution crosses borders, requiring international cooperation and shared legal frameworks. The Paris Agreement is a prime example, which allows countries to set their own carbon emission reduction targets for climate action. We even govern the oceans through the law of the sea, or UNCLOS. Territorial waters extend 12 miles from shore. This is considered sovereign country property. Further out, the exclusive economic zone reaches 200 miles, granting fishing and resource rights. Beyond that lie the high seas. These remain international waters owned by no single nation. When nations break the rules, the world uses sanctions, economic weapons. Economic sanctions include trade embargoes, frozen assets, and travel bans targeting countries. The goal is punishing nations and forcing behavior change without resorting to military force. It is a way to enforce the law through wallets rather than weapons. Finally, we look to the future of global governance. We face new threats. 21st century challenges include cyber warfare, space law, and global pandemic response coordination. However, there is resistance. Rising nationalism challenges the international cooperation needed to solve these modern transnational problems. As we move forward, the question remains: can we work together to govern our shared world?